Hey babe, welcome back. Thank you once again for joining us. Just remember, I have no medical background. I am not a psychologist. I'm just a girl who's lived life and happy to share her experiences. Enjoy. Hey babe, how you doing? Welcome back. Yes, it's only been 1 week break, but it felt like forever on my side. I'm just happy to be back. My name is Thembie from I Think I Write, I Think I Pray, and I Think I Read. And I'm here this morning, just to get back on track, get back to what we've been discussing, which is my deepest, darkest spaces. And I'd encourage you to like, subscribe on the page. If you're new here, subscribe, click the subscribe button, and follow us for notifications. Leave a comment if you can. But I'm slowly beginning to learn that conversation is more important or better than comments. I take this from the last few videos that I've done, particularly the handling sexual abuse one, where I hardly got too many comments on the section, but my DMs, my WhatsApp number was just flooded with conversation upon conversation. And I guess it brought me to the realization of why I'm actually doing this. When I started off, it was a burning deep desire on the inside of me to reach out to somebody who might have gone through whatever I had gone through. Because I feel like sometimes life is an injustice to certain people. And I feel like sometimes somebody just needs to be reached out to so that they can come out of the hole that they were in. I feel like I wouldn't be here if I didn't have people who reached out to me. But I also feel like if I had any contributing factor in putting someone into a hole, this is my opportunity to say, girl, I messed up, I'm sorry, let's fix that and let's correct that. I say this because half the people we grew up with are everywhere in the diaspora. And because of that, sometimes you can't just reach out to someone and say, I recall a moment when I was unjust to you, but thank God for social media, we do it here. And some people may not understand why one would unravel their entire life in front of everybody else. But I feel like from the deepest core of myself as Uthembi, there is so much that I've experienced that I feel that other people can learn from, glean from, that other people can find a stability and a strengthening from. And I find that I feel as Uthembi that I have so much to offer to the world that the world maybe doesn't know, the world doesn't understand, or the world is not ready to speak about yet. And so I find myself being brave enough to communicate certain things in this life, in my life, that other people would rather keep private. Today I'm supposed to be speaking about dealing with depression. And probably I will, but I really just want to tell some stories from the past that will help a person, not who's probably going through depression, but a person who is around someone who may be in a depressed state. We spoke about dealing with sadness, with mourning. We spoke about dealing with grief. And we spoke about how those things happen inevitably to everybody that is around us because of circumstance, because of things that happen in their lives. And, it can be anything from a death to the loss of a job. Sometimes it can be, all the way to actually accomplishing your goals and not even knowing what to do next. People find themselves going through the grief cycle simply because certain things have happened around them. Depression is different. Depression, nobody really knows why some people are susceptible to it and why some people are not. And I am one of those people who became susceptible to it. And I believe it was because of certain life experiences that I had. And when I got to a certain age, 30 something, then it really kind of fell on me and took over my whole life. Now, I know we want to know what it is, we want to define it, but I always say I'm not a psychologist, I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is I'm going to give you a few stories, and these stories are mainly meant to get you to understand that there's so many people around us going through some stuff. And it's so important for us to be open to that, to help. I know that Cain was quick to say, am I my brother's keeper? I know that in this world there's a selfishness that allows us to put ourselves in a cocoon and not care about anybody else. I understand that sometimes you just don't want people in your personal space, so reaching out is inviting them in. But I also understand that the reason why somebody stays in the darkness, the reason why somebody ends up in suicide, because not all depression ends in suicide, but why someone ends up in suicide is because we have decided not to reach out. We have decided to keep our cocoon, but we're a community of people. God would have never created human beings in groups if he didn't expect us to interact, if he didn't expect us to hold one another up, if he didn't expect us to take care of one another. So I'm going to start with one story, and it's going to be my story, and I'm going to tell other stories, and it's just going to be a few stories as quickly as possible. But I'm praying that by the end of this, you understand why it is so important for you to reach out to a person that you see has changed their behavior. I say this because in COVID-19 times, so much has happened to so many people. People are beginning to lose themselves slowly. And if we don't reach out to them, nobody else will. So years ago, almost a decade ago, a young lady came to me. We were pastoring in Braamfontein, and I was pastoring her, and she was at Wits University, and she had another friend who was also at Wits or UJ, I can't really remember. But she came to me and she said, so-and-so is, I'm worried about her. I just realized that, she's cutting herself. And the truth is, all the signs were there. She used to walk around with her long sleeves and, always covered up. Now, I won't even lie. I was extremely naive. I knew nothing about it. And I was also very eccentric when it came to Christianity and, I don't know, just, I was eccentric. And I remember turning to her and saying, listen, you know what? I think she's just seeking for attention. I think that's all she wants. And she says, no, but I'm worried that she's depressed and that she might end up killing herself because she talks about, how she doesn't want to live and how she doesn't want to. And I said, no. People that want to kill themselves, kill themselves. That's it. And it's the coward's way out. Why would somebody want to kill themselves in such a beautiful life? Now, you can already tell my naivety was off the charts. I literally knew nothing about what depression was. And someone would call it karma because 2-3 years later, I was down that very same path. But I'm saying this to say this. I was not always informed. I didn't always know. I didn't always understand. I didn't always have the insight or the foresight on how to handle another human being. Now, she used to cut herself because she was in pain, a deep pain, a sense of pain that nobody else understood, a sense of pain that nobody else thought was meaningful, a sense of pain that nobody else deemed, they didn't deem important. They probably felt like I felt that she was attention seeking. They probably felt like I felt that she just wanted, people to gather around her and feel sorry for her. And it was such a misconception on my part. God bless the fact that she is still alive. God, be glorified for the fact that I don't know where she is. I don't know what she's doing. And if she could hear this, I would say, I am so sorry for not understanding. And I understand that at that point, she needed someone to show her a sense of self-worth that she couldn't find within herself. She needed someone to show her a sense of a hopefulness that she couldn't find in herself, and she needed someone who could help her handle whatever pain she was carrying at that time. Another scenario is a few years later, I guess, and it was freezing cold. I remember that day. It was freezing cold, almost drizzling, and somebody had come to the house for something, but they really were sent, apparently, and they were supposed to talk to us or talk to me, and us being my husband at the time and myself, because the church was disgruntled. And so he came and he parked outside. And I remember walking outside because I think my family may have been resting or something. Or he had come in and now we had walked out. And now he was guns blazing. He was guns blazing about everything that had gone wrong, everything that, had not been done right, everything that had failed, everywhere where particularly, and at that time particularly, he was talking about the actual pastor, not necessarily the pastor's wife, because he was talking from a man's point of view. So guns blazing, he is talking about everything that has been done wrong. Now, I don't dispute when somebody messes up, they've messed up. But sometimes we have to find out why they've messed up. And I remember at some point standing there freezing because he was sitting in his car and I was standing outside. And that's why I remember it so well. And I remember at some point saying, I don't know if you've noticed, but your pastor is struggling with depression. And his answer was very quick and emotionless. And he said, I don't care. And we don't care. The congregation doesn't care that the pastor is going through depression. The congregation just wants a well pastor. That's what the congregation wants. We don't care about your personal issues. We don't care about what you're going through. We just want a pastor that is well. And I remember those words cutting very deeply, into me, because I then realized that, yes, that's the truth. Human beings actually don't want to carry other people's burdens. That's just the way it is. And it made me realize that human beings generally do have an innate selfishness about them. And even though the Bible says that one can put 1,000 to flight and 10,000, even though the Bible at that point, will say if two lie together, they'll keep each other warm. For some reason, we don't naturally gravitate to being the second person that keeps the other person warm, not realizing that if you keep them warm, they'll keep you warm. So I remember those words cutting deep. I remember walking back into the house and fighting off a sense of failure, on behalf of the pastor, because honestly, at that point, things just were not looking okay in his personal life, and nobody could make you understand why, because everything around him seemed to be in place. But as a man, he had, certain things that he was carrying that only men would understand. And you would have thought that this other man would understand, but he didn't. Fast forward to years later when I then decided, I didn't want life. And I was sitting in my home, everybody had left for school, for work, and I was drained. I had lost every part of me, every strength, every piece of strength that I could ever have. And I was sitting at home. I think I had just finished cleaning. And I had decided on that day that it would be the last day on earth, my last day on earth. And I'd really made up my mind. I had it all figured out. I knew how I was going to do it. I knew what I was going to do with the kids whilst I was doing that. But something unexpected happened. A lady I worked with, she's a pastor, decided she was going to come and visit me because I hadn't been to work for like 3 or 4 weeks. And she just rocked up. This is like 7 a.m. And she comes in, and firstly, I'm shocked that she's even there. Secondly, I'm like, oh, okay. It kind of put a hampering on my plans for the day. And I remember as she sat there and she said, no, I was just here to check on you. I haven't seen you. Are you well? And she began to pray for me. Her phone rang. And as her phone rang, she picked it up and someone was on the other side. And that person really was not in a good mood. Where are you? What are you doing? What? And then she says, I'm at Thembie's house. I'm checking on her because she hasn't been at school, at work. And she says, the person on the other side. Now, the thing is, cell phones can be pretty loud, even if you're, not on speaker. So the other person on the other side says, how important is Thembie versus the duties that you have to get done? How important is she? Because Thembie will still be here tomorrow when certain things haven't been done. I think get your priorities right. Get up, and get to here or get to this place, wherever that was. I want those things sorted out. Now, I'm not disputing the fact that what she needed to do was important. I'm not even disputing the fact that I was the least in the priority list at that point. But what I want to say about her visit is it got me to live another day. I postponed what I needed or thought I needed to do to the next day, to another 24 hours later, because for a moment when she was sitting there, for a moment when she was praying with me, for a moment when she was just there, she made me feel important enough, to be alive, to breathe again, I can't explain to you, or I will explain to you in subsequent episodes what it felt like. But at that point, when she walked into my home, she shifted something on the inside of me, and she gave me the courage to want to live another day. Now, what then happened the next day was totally different, because by now I had made up my mind. I was sure. I had fed my kids, I had sent them out, I was about to do whatever I needed to do, and somebody made a phone call again. And it was the same person who had called the day before on her phone. And this person said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to die. And she said, why? And I said, because there's nothing worth living for. And she said, but do you know that if you kill yourself, you'll end up in hell? And I said, at this point, I don't care. And she said, what about your children? I said, it doesn't really matter. It's not about them, because at that point it wasn't. And she said, and then she said, what are you going to do with the kids? I said, okay, fine, I'll take them with me. And she said, but you can't take anyone to the other side. And I said, well, it doesn't matter. I literally was so inundated, and all she was doing was frustrating me all the more. But what then cut the most was the final words that she said. She said, you know what? I've done my part. I've done my part, and there's nothing else I can do. Do whatever you want. And she cut the call. And I put down the phone and I said, exactly. I'm going to do exactly what I want. And that's the point when I did something. But thank God for grace, because at that point, I think a couple of hours later, somebody else just arrived at my house. She'd also never been to my house. And she arrived, and she literally barged into my house and picked me up and took me to hospital and had everything that needed to be done. Now, the scenarios I've given you have two types of people, and I've been one of them. It has the person that comes in and they care less about how they put out what they feel about your situation or about somebody else's situation. But they also have the person who reaches out. And the people that have reached out in my life have allowed me to be able to breathe again, to take another step, to allow the next day to happen. Now, I'm saying to you as someone who's listening to this, look around. Look around at what people are doing and how they're doing it. The bounce in their step, whether it's disappeared or it's still there. Look around and see what's going on in their lives, what's happening. Why? We are surely our brother's keeper. We are, and we should be. And we shouldn't at any point believe that we live in an isolated realm or in an isolated world. People are important. As important as your life is as important as someone else's life is. And so it is important for you to look around. Check what people are going through. Some people really will be nasty when you check on them. They will say, I don't want you in my business. I don't want you, who are you to come into my personal space and all that. And that's okay. But there is nothing that embraces and holistically makes a person or a human being feel safe or feel worthy than genuine love that reaches out. Just say hi. Just say, I haven't seen you in a while. Just say, I've been checking your statuses and you seem to post at 2 a.m. Are you studying or something? Why are you up so early? Why are you up so late at night? Because some of the signs of depression are insomnia. Look around and say, oh, okay, hi. How have you been? Are you good? Do you mind if we go for coffee? It's just the little things where you literally just say to someone, I've been thinking about you. Now, some people will be abrasive, like I said, because when you're going through depression, you really don't even understand what's going on the inside of you. You don't understand the turmoil. But when you reach out to that person, you kind of disturb, you cut a piece of that turmoil, you make it stop for a second. And that stopping for a second sometimes is the difference between life and death, or the difference between sinking deeper into it and sinking out. Now, I told you that, maybe I didn't say it at the beginning, but I've re-figured out why I do this channel. This channel is not for fame. It's not for popularity. It's not for clout. This channel is because there are certain things I have experienced in life, and I don't want other people to experience them. I don't want you to be as naive as I was when I said she's just attention seeking. I don't want you to be as naive as other people were when they said we don't care. I don't want you to be as naive as someone else was when they said I've done my part and there's nothing else I can do whatever you want. I don't want you to get to that point. I want you to be aware of your environment as much as you're aware of yourself. You might be the person who's going through whatever it is you're going through. Open up and allow somebody else to reach out to you. It's never too late to turn your situation around. It's never too late for you to start again. It's never too late for you to repicture the possibilities in your life, because I do know that hope deferred makes the heart sick. I do know that depression is a sense of extreme hopelessness. I do understand that you are in a position where you feel like life has no point anymore. But if you let that one person in who says hi and you just say hi back, God can do a work that completely changes you around. And 7-8 years later, like myself, you can say, I shouldn't have been here, but I am. And I thank God for the people that He brought into my life. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. We continue to talk. We continue to share. We continue to comment. We continue to like. We continue to subscribe. I am on a pour out journey. So like the widow with the little oil, I will continue to just pour out into the vessels until there's no more vessels to be filled up. So God bless you. I love you. See you next week. Have a great week.